There are few things in the garden that offer as much reward for so little effort as garlic. It is a wonderfully straightforward crop to grow, demanding very little of your time but giving back so much in flavor. The satisfaction of pulling your own homegrown garlic from the soil is a simple pleasure that every gardener should experience. It connects you to your food in a very real way. You don't need a large plot or a sprawling allotment to get started. Even a few pots on a sunny patio can provide you with a delightful harvest that will see you through many meals. It is a plant that quietly gets on with its business, a patient and reliable friend in the vegetable patch. The difference in taste between a freshly harvested bulb of garlic and one that has traveled miles to sit on a supermarket shelf is truly remarkable. Homegrown garlic has a depth of flavor, a pungency, and a subtle sweetness that is often lost in commercial varieties. It is an essential ingredient in so many cuisines around the world, and growing your own allows you to explore different types, from fiery hardnecks to milder softnecks. Each variety has its own unique character. The joy of cooking with something you have nurtured from a single clove is immense. It transforms a simple meal into something special, a testament to your own work and the generosity of the earth. Growing garlic is also a wonderful way to mark the passing of the seasons in your garden. You plant the cloves in the autumn, as the garden is winding down for its winter sleep. They lie dormant under the cold earth, waiting patiently for the first signs of spring. Then, as the days begin to lengthen and the soil warms, the first green shoots emerge, a hopeful sign that new life is stirring. This simple cycle reminds us of the resilience of nature. It's a quiet, dependable rhythm that provides a sense of continuity and anchors you to the gardening year, a lovely, slow process that unfolds right before your eyes. Furthermore, garlic is a plant that largely looks after itself, making it perfect for those new to gardening or for those who have a busy life. It is not particularly fussy about soil, as long as it is not waterlogged, and it suffers from very few pests or diseases. This resilience makes it an incredibly forgiving crop. You can plant it and, for the most part, forget about it until the following summer. It asks for little more than a sunny spot and a bit of patience. This simplicity is its greatest strength, allowing anyone, regardless of their experience, to achieve a successful and deeply satisfying harvest. It is a true garden champion. The best time to plant garlic is in the autumn. Here in the UK, this usually means sometime between October and December. Planting at this time of year gives the garlic cloves a crucial period of cold, which they need to stimulate them into dividing and forming a full bulb of new cloves. This process, known as vernalization, is essential for a good harvest. If you plant in the autumn, the cloves will have all winter to establish a strong root system. This head start means they will be ready to burst into vigorous growth as soon as the weather warms up in the spring, leading to larger, more flavorful bulbs come summer. It feels like you are putting the garden to bed with a promise for the year ahead. Choosing the right spot is just as important as timing. Garlic loves the sun. You must find the sunniest, most open position in your garden or on your patio. Good air circulation is also beneficial, as it helps to prevent fungal diseases. The most critical requirement, however, is good drainage. Garlic plants will simply rot if their roots are sitting in cold, wet soil for long periods. If you have heavy clay soil, it is a very good idea to improve it by digging in plenty of organic matter, such as well-rotted compost or manure. This will help to open up the soil structure and allow excess water to drain away freely, creating the perfect conditions for healthy roots. Preparing the soil is a simple but vital step. Once you have chosen your sunny, well-drained spot, you should clear it of all weeds and large stones. Then, gently fork over the soil to loosen it up. This is the time to add that lovely organic matter I mentioned. Spread a generous layer of compost over the surface and use a fork to lightly incorporate it into the top few inches of soil. You don't need to do any heavy back-breaking digging. Just create a fine, crumbly tilth for the cloves to nestle into. If you are growing in pots, choose a container that is at least 20 centimeters deep and fill it with a good quality peat-free potting compost mixed with a little grit for extra drainage. Now for the planting itself. Take your garlic bulb and carefully break it apart into individual cloves. Be gentle so as not to bruise them. You want to plant only the largest, healthiest looking cloves, as these will produce the biggest bulbs. Smaller cloves can still be used in the kitchen. Using a trowel or a dibber, make a small hole about 10 centimeters deep. Place one clove in the bottom of the hole, making sure the pointed end is facing upwards towards the sky. This is where the green shoot will emerge from. The flat, basal plate at the bottom is where the roots will grow. This correct orientation is absolutely key to success. Once your cloves are planted, the next step is to get the spacing right. Each clove needs enough room to swell and develop into a full bulb without competing with its neighbors for water and nutrients. A good rule of thumb is to plant them about 15 centimeters or 6 inches apart. If you are planting in rows, leave about 30 centimeters between each row. This spacing gives you plenty of room to move between the plants for weeding and watering later on. After you have placed each clove in its hole, gently backfill with soil and pat it down lightly. Don't compact the soil too much, just enough to ensure good contact between the clove and the earth around it. Watering is a straightforward affair. After the initial planting, give the area a good water to settle the soil around the cloves. Through the autumn and winter, the rain will usually provide all the moisture the garlic needs. You will only need to intervene if there is a prolonged dry spell. As spring arrives and the green shoots begin to grow vigorously, you should start to check the soil more regularly. The aim is to keep the soil consistently moist, but never waterlogged. A good soaking once a week during dry weather is usually sufficient. As you approach harvest time in early summer, you should reduce and then stop watering altogether. This helps the bulbs to dry out and cure properly. One of the most important jobs is to keep the garlic patch free of weeds. Weeds will compete with your garlic for light, water, and nutrients, which can result in smaller bulbs. It is best to weed by hand, especially when the garlic plants are young and their root systems are still delicate. Hoeing can easily damage the shallow roots or even the developing bulb just below the surface. A gentle hand weeding session every week or two is all that is required. It is a peaceful, therapeutic task that allows you to check on the progress of your plants and connect with your garden. A layer of mulch, like compost or leaf mold, can also help to suppress weeds and retain moisture. Garlic is wonderfully robust, but it is wise to keep an eye out for any potential problems. The most common issue is rust, which appears as small orange-colored pustules on the leaves. It is often caused by damp, humid conditions. While it looks alarming, it rarely affects the bulb underground unless it is a very severe case. Ensure good air circulation by keeping weeds down and spacing plants correctly. The other thing to watch for is the leek moth, whose caterpillars can tunnel into the leaves and stems. However, this is not a widespread issue. For the most part, your garlic will grow strong and healthy with minimal intervention, a testament to its hardy nature. Knowing when to harvest your garlic is a skill that comes with a little practice, but there are clear signs to look for. The main clue is in the leaves. Sometime in early to mid-summer, around June or July, the lower leaves of the plant will begin to turn yellow and die back. You should wait until about half to two-thirds of the leaves have yellowed and started to droop. This indicates that the plant has stopped putting energy into growing leaves and is now concentrating on swelling the bulb underground. Don't be tempted to pull them too early as the bulbs will be small, but don't leave them too long either, or the bulb may split open in the ground. When you think the time is right, gently loosen the soil around a single bulb with a garden fork. Be careful not to spear the bulb itself. Ease the fork underneath it and lift it carefully from the ground. Have a look at it. Is it a good size? Are the cloves well formed and wrapped in their papery skins? If so, then the rest are likely ready too. You can then proceed to lift the entire crop on a dry, sunny day. Gently brush off the excess soil from the roots, but do not wash the bulbs. They need to be kept dry to cure properly. The feeling of lifting these perfect, pungent bulbs from the earth is a moment of pure gardening triumph. Curing is the final, crucial step that allows you to store your garlic for months. You need to dry the bulbs in a warm, airy place that is out of direct sunlight. A garden shed, a covered porch, or a well-ventilated garage is ideal. You can either lay them out on racks, or if you have grown softneck varieties, you can braid their long, pliable leaves together to create beautiful, traditional garlic strings. Hardneck varieties have a rigid central stem, so they are best tied in bunches. Leave them to cure for several weeks until the outer skins are papery and dry, and the necks are constricted. Once fully cured, you can trim the roots and stems and store them in a cool, dark place. To imagine a time-lapse of this whole process is to witness a quiet miracle. First, you would see the single clove planted in the dark soil of autumn. Then, after a long winter's wait, a vibrant green spear pierces the surface, a defiant shoot reaching for the spring sun. This shoot quickly unfurls into a series of long, flat, strappy leaves, growing taller and lusher through the spring. Underground, hidden from view, the base of the plant begins to swell, slowly differentiating into individual cloves. As summer arrives, the plant's energy switches, the lower leaves begin to fade to yellow, and the bulb plumps to its final, magnificent size before being lifted from the earth, completing its remarkable journey.